Okay, I want to welcome all of you, Christian Church Disciples of Christ of Mid-America. So glad that you've joined me for this call. It's something I've been looking forward to for a long time. I've been in this position now for a little over 4 years, and at least in the time that I've been here, there's not been any kind of a gathering of our Green Chalice congregations. And as you're probably now aware, if you've read the paper, it's something that's very dear to my heart. And so grateful that there is this much interest and passion around this issue of justice and caring for God's creation. So welcome today. We're going to kind of have 3 different movements as our hour together here. I want to begin by asking you to introduce yourself and the congregation you're with, and then just share 2 or 3 things that your congregation is doing towards caring for God's creation. And I know there'll probably be some duplicates and some repeats, but that's okay. I want to gather that information that we might share that with other congregations at future points. And then I've got a little brief PowerPoint presentation I'll walk through from Blessed Tomorrow. And then I want to spend the last third talking about the paper, Return to Reverence. Hopefully you've had a chance to read that. So welcome. Let's begin with a prayer, and then I'll just call you one by one from my registration sheet to share. Lord God of creation, we just come before you this day, giving you thanks and praise for our place in your creation as stewards, as those who benefit from the beauty and the wonder and the majesty and the many gifts of your creation. Lord, I thank you for each person here today that has a heart for being a good steward of your creation. And I pray that as we gather together as your people, you might just open up our eyes, our minds, and our hearts to receive more of the ways in which we can bless you and the beauty of all that you've created. We ask for your spirit of hope and wisdom and discernment as we gather together. In the name of Christ Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
So thank you for being here. I just want to ask you if you would just mute yourself until I called upon you. And then I'll just invite you one by one as I share your name. Just introduce yourself, the congregation you're from or with, and what are some things you're beginning to do or have been doing at your particular congregation. So we will start with Cheryl Tinsley. Cheryl, do you want to begin us, please?
Of course I will. My name's Cheryl Tinsley. I'm from First Christian Church in Harrisonville, Missouri. Hi to those of you that I recognize. We've been a Green Chalice congregation for, I want to say, close to 10 years.
Wow.
And probably the biggest thing that we've done is put recycling bins, paper recycling bins around behind the congregation, back row of pews, and also in our education building and in the office so that we can recycle paper. It's an easy thing and very quick thing to do. And we have moved towards eliminating the incandescent light bulbs. We tried CFL for a while and we don't love those, to be honest. They don't put out a lot of light, especially in the higher ceiling parts of our world. And so we've been switching to LED as we can. And we try really hard to not have styrofoam in the kitchen. And I think most of you know that it populates like rabbits, but we try really hard. We try really hard to allocate money to buy recyclable disposable items, and we also buy we buy equal exchange coffee for use in our sanctuary or in our fellowship dinners and things.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Cheryl, and welcome. How about Marilyn Bettenhausen? Is Marilyn on? Yes.
There we go. Hi, I'm Marilyn from Olivet Christian Church, just east of Columbia. I'm part of our sustainable living team. Our minister, Hannah Ryan, our co-minister, is on too today. We've been a Green Chalice congregation since 2016, but have roots in sustainable living and concern for creation that goes back much further than that, back to the days when this was a farming community, which is now rapidly becoming suburbanized. In terms of things we've done over the years, classes, speakers, tours, field trips, hands-on opportunities. We've gone to local nonprofits, government agencies like the landfill. I got 14 people to the landfill to see what they were doing there, and recycling and methane production, water treatment facility and wetlands, members' homes and what they're doing, all those kinds of things. And right now we're in the middle of another year of Seeds and Sprouts. We're fortunate also to have a hoop house, and other volunteers and I start a select variety of seedlings, tomatoes, peppers, zinnias, marigolds, some native plants like butterfly weed, rose milkweed, herbs. And then on Earth Day weekend, on that Sunday, people have the opportunity to, well, they can pre-order nowadays. So the last couple of years we've done pre-ordering. So they can pick up their order after church, or they can go shop down outdoors where we set up all the flats of possibilities. And we encourage people to grow a little bit of their own food, if it's a cherry tomato in a pot, just so they can, see, taste, that sort of thing, where their food comes from. And also grow easy to grow flowers like zinnias and marigolds that attract bees, butterflies, etc. And the native plants for the overall environmental good. We've introduced native plants in our church landscaping. This year, we achieved a very special goal in that we were able to insulate to our 52 sections of our building that are the most heavily used, the classroom wing and the office wing. And hopefully at some point in the future, we will be able to do more of that. We've been looking toward doing that for like 5 or 6 years. So I was really excited when that came to pass. So that's it in a nutshell, and we're still exploring more options and ways to get the word out.
That is a large nutshell, Marilyn. Wow. Thank you. We just need to, as a group, we need to take a group to Olivet. You guys are doing everything right. Congratulations. So helpful. Thank you. Janet Bergman. I see Roger's with her.
Yeah,
You're
we're a duet here.
Okay.
But I'm going to let him do most of the speaking. Our church was hit by a tornado in Jefferson City in 2018.
Yes.
Sometime then, and pretty much destroyed our building. So when we rebuilt, we did a lot of the right things. And I'm going to let him tell you about that because I don't know.
So I don't recommend the tornado part, but we were able to bring the building back and reduce our energy usage by between 50 and 75% by improved insulation, putting in double pane windows, putting in insulated aluminum frames around the windows. One that we just recently did, we put several of our hot water heaters on timers so that they're not heating during the week when most people aren't there, and they are only then actually running when we need the hot water, when there are people there. Individually, we've done several things that are not really associated with the Green Chalice Committee, but for example, I'm a climate ambassador with MIT's En-ROADS. I do presentations with their software and show community groups how to evaluate different climate solutions, compare which ones are most effective, which ones are least effective, what are the ripple effects that happen when you try to do particular solutions. Anything else that I'm missing?
We too have got some of the native plants growing around the church. We want to get more of those. And we too have an abundance of styrofoam in the closet that we are trying not to use for meals. And people are catching on to get out the real dinner plates and bowls and working on that. And one of the other things is we've started using dishwashing soap that is found in aluminum cans. So you just have to put it in your plastic bottle to use it and keep it happy. So those kind of things. I think it takes a lot of communication with other churchgoers to get them to appreciate what they can do instead of just a group working within the church. It's an everybody's thing. So it's going to take some communication and some more of it. So, and thank you for doing this and hosting this. Good.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And congratulations for having the wisdom to rebuild in a way that's much more sustainable. You said 50 to 70% energy savings over what you had before.
Yes.
That is incredible. Thank you for that. And that good work. Patricia Farmer, I see you've joined us. You want to share with us your name, where you're serving, and a few things that you're doing in this regard. You're on mute, Patricia.
Sorry, I'm Patricia Farmer, and I'm at Millersburg Christian Church. And I just have to tell you, Ron, that I could not stop reading your book that you sent us. In fact, it's one of the best things I've read in ages, and it needs to be published by Chalice Press as soon as possible to get out to the whole. We need to get it out to everyone. It is incredible. I loved it, and only you can write this. You're the farmer. You've got the great theology. You've got a way of, well, it's just beautiful. And I'm so happy that you wrote it, and it got me so enthusiastic about things. But our church hasn't done anything like probably the rest of you. We're very small, but we are a Green Chalice church, and we have done some worship services in September for creation celebration, and we cut back on we use real dishes instead of paper and that kind of thing, because we have a very supportive progressive group there that's very supportive of this. So, but we haven't done anything huge, so I'm interested to see what the rest of you are doing. But I just wanted to thank you, Ron, for this book, for this gift. And I think it should go out to every church in all of the United States and Canada. It's really an important book. It's 32 pages of just pure wisdom and beauty. So thank you. I read the whole, I couldn't stop reading it.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. We'll come back to the book at the end of our discussion, because I genuinely want your feedback and how it can be made better. So I don't want just praises. And by the way, I did pitch this to Brad Lyons at Chalice Press, but they rejected it. So that's why I decided just to put it out there for free, at least start with Mid-America, and then see where it goes from there. So
well, it needs to be out there one way or another. There's one way or another. Thank you.
Okay, is Steve Gardner on with us? Steve, are you here? I don't see Steve. Okay, how about Doug Jobe? Welcome, Doug.
Hello, Ron and everyone. I am the interim minister at First Christian Church in Hannibal. It is not a Green Chalice congregation. That's not even on their radar yet. But I hope to introduce them to the idea before I'm done here. They are, however, interested in efficiency improvements, and so have converted a lot of the lighting in this whole set of historic buildings constructed over more than 100 years. They've been converting to LEDs and also upgrading HVAC systems with some pandemic era grant money that became available. So they have been moving to ductless HVAC units, which are fairly high efficiency. Probably in less than a year of use, realized in the spaces where they're being used, probably a 50% reduction in energy use. So that's pretty significant, and then makes a really selling point for taking additional steps. I introduced recycling paper just kind of quietly by buying bins and setting them out. But I think it may take some pastoral preaching to expand consciousness, but I think there's a friendliness toward care for creation. There are a number of gardeners in the congregation, and they have for many years had a tradition of bringing their abundance to church on Sunday mornings and during the summer, and having that available for people to pick up. So there are places to start with that are hopeful, I think, as we make this journey.
Yes, and that's a big part of this, the Zoom call, is to find inspiration from other congregations. I find that we're at different places on the spectrum, and there's a place for everybody to jump in. And so good for you in helping lead Hannibal in that direction. Teresa Spear. I have to give Teresa a moment of credit because Teresa and I are good friends, and she has her master's in writing. So I ran this booklet by her first, and she gave me some helpful feedback. And this is an issue she's been involved with for a long time as well. Welcome, Teresa.
Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you for writing this much needed book. I am actually in a transition bridge ministry right now at First Christian in Harrisonville. So Cheryl and I are going to commit to partnering up on some green chalice things. I am also attached to South Street Christian Church, where Steve Gardner is, and I know that Steve was taking over leadership of Green Chalice. I have done that in previous years with South Street. South Street has a community garden, and then that produce is picked and given to a local food pantry to help bring fresh fruits and vegetables to those who are having food insecurities. South Street has gone about working toward changing their lighting, an improved chiller for the air conditioning system. But one of the big focuses that South Street has worked on and that I've been a part of is writing curriculum for children's programming, for bringing forward the concept of the earth as God's creation and how we can take care of the earth. So I did that for several years, everything from Advent lessons to during the week. And we talked about how chocolate is grown and bringing it beyond the borders of the United States to really show how dependent we are on other people and other parts of the world for the things that we enjoy. And so that's kind of been the main focus right now of what I've been involved with. But looking forward to doing more extensive work in this area.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Teresa. Jerome Anderson, welcome.
Hello. I'm Jerome Anderson, and I'm a lay leader at Clinton Christian Church in Clinton, Missouri. When we moved to Clinton in 2017, and we started attending there in 2018, I discovered that they had done all kinds of things already and had no idea of the green chalice. So I took it upon myself to form a committee, and we started our green chalice there. They had done the lights, they had done the zone heating and cooling, they had gotten rid of styrofoam, on and on and on. Naturally, that's how into it they are. The two big things that we've done since then has been, we got recycling bins for not only our church, but our community. If they've got things that they would like to have recycled, it can now be done in Clinton, Missouri. There's a recycling center. And then the other one is the Walmart style plastic bags. I found a place that will take them. And it's through the Trex Corporation and the folks that make those fake lumber, the plastic lumber, they want it. And so I donate close to 20 pounds of Walmart bags a month to them. So those are the big things that we've done in Clinton.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jerome.
Ron,
yeah.
could we ask Jerome to repeat the name of that company, please?
Trex, Trex.
They make that man-made decking that most people are using these days. Thank you so much. Hannah Ryan?
I'll go peek for their website and I'll give that to you in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you. Hannah, welcome.
Hi, I'm Hannah Ryan. I'm a co-minister at Olivet Christian Church in Columbia. And as Marilyn said, we've got kind of a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to Green Chalice. We've got a lot of educational pieces that we do, but also, as she mentioned, I think the biggest thing you see when you come to our space is that we've transitioned to as many native plants as possible in our green spaces, and trying to plant those in ways that will benefit our energy usage in our building as well. And as she said, our biggest project most recently has been to start to insulate our building more properly and make sure we're reducing our energy costs in bigger ways.
Awesome. You're doing everything right there. Thank you for your leadership there, Hannah. Jeff Moore, welcome, Jeff.
Hello, I'm from Webster. I'm hoping I don't see the other Jeff Moore here from Troy.
No,
So I'm
you're the only one.
okay. From Webster Groves Christian Church, and we've been a Green Chalice congregation for, I guess, about 10 years. And some things that we've done, I got a little list here. So as we replace light bulbs and light fixtures, we've been going to high efficiency, lower wattage lights. We have placed timers throughout the building for heating and lighting and cooling, so that when we're not using those things, we're making sure not to be spending energy on them. We grow organically tomatoes and herbs every year, and we share them with local food pantries and some of our mission partners. We installed a high efficiency HVAC system through about 60% of our building. And I'll just let you know that we have high efficiency hopes, but we've had a lot of repair issues with that. So while we use less energy because it's down for repair all the time, unfortunately. So that's been kind of a 10-year battle. We recycle inside and outside the building. We're using a lot less paper. We've gone from using bulletins and from mailing a lot of paper. We've gone electronic on most of that stuff. And then we use recycled, recyclable, and compostable things when we have to use reusable products. But when we have meals and beverages, etc., we try to just use things that are reusable and washable when we do that. And then we buy and use for fellowship and sell fair trade coffee, tea, and chocolate. So those are a few of the things we've been up to.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeff, for your leadership there. Judy Crawford, you want to share with us, please? Welcome.
Yes, I'm not, yes. Except I think I need to refer, I think Eileen Nelson is also in here. The church has been doing being Green Chalice for quite some time, but the leaders have stepped down, and I said I would attend this meeting, but I think Eileen Nelson's on, and she has also been, I think she's been on the committee for the long time. So I would refer to her, please.
Okay, thank you and welcome. Eileen, please share with us.
Yeah, I'm from Community Christian Church in Camdenton. Yes, I've been on the Green Chalice for a long time. I think it comes back to the part that I grew up on a farm, and I lived on a farm for 21 years of my life, and it just kind of goes over. You never waste anything on a farm. You always use everything. And our church has been going through and changing all the lighting system. They're doing the air conditioning, heating. They have written schedules on when and what and where you can turn it on. And if you enter a room, you can turn it up. If you're coming back, I'm one of the JYF teachers. I go in Wednesday morning, turn it on, then I turn it off when I leave at 7 o'clock at night. So little things. The Sewing Angels that we have is a sewing group, and people help donate fabric. We use what we can. If we can't use it, we send it to Nicaragua, which does use it. So we recycle lots of stuff, zippers, buttons, anything, sewing machines, whatever you want to do. This weekend, we start working again on our property. I'm on the property committee, and we're putting in native flowers. We've been taking and destroying different stuff that are invasive to our area. We would like to put in a gardening area, but we don't know where or what we're going to do. But right now we have to get the property, and we've taken a lot of trees down, a lot of stuff down in our outdoor sanctuary. So we're working a lot, and we're always meeting. The Green Chalice hasn't been meeting. Our leaders have stepped down, but we're continuing with our recycling bin. The Disciple Women started actually with this many years ago. And we went and did a whole study for basically almost a year on the creation of Earth. And we do usually have a Earth Sunday, which I think is the 22nd of April. So we are into that. As for styrofoam, it comes in the church somehow. I'm not sure how, but we got rid of all of it somehow. I don't know. We do serve at our Wednesday night meal a lot of soups, and they are going out to be delivered. But we did find containers that are actually kind of a paper, and they can be recycled, they can be burned. So we use that. But every once in a while, I notice a styrofoam cup walked in the house. We use glass, we use coffee cups. China, no, we do not like, we don't even want to use paper. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a lot more, still learning a lot more. And I think there's a lot more for us to grow. So that's what we're doing right now. But we've been doing this for years.
Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate you making the connection with Disciple Women, because they really have, in some ways, been leading the way on this issue. And so grateful for their work. And as you saw at the end of my appendix, include a service there from Disciple Women. So thank you. Nick Larson, share with us, Nick. Welcome.
Sure. I'm at Nick Larson. I'm serving First Christian Church in Boonville, Missouri. And we are not a Green Chalice congregation, but even this week, or I guess it was last week in one of our meetings, we were having conversations about energy usage and building usage and all those kind of things. And I was commenting to our folks, and it's sort of a thing of, I think the interest is here. It's just about how to get the movement going, especially around the idea of another standing committee that, while it's valuable work, adding the sort of, that task to folks who care. And so looking for ways that we can be kind of creative in our support of that and to do those kind of things. I think that's kind of where we're at as a congregation, is looking for those avenues. It's, we too have a lot of kind of farm community folks here who understand the idea to maximize usage of materials and all the rest and want to do that kind of work. It's sort of shifting that and then trying to integrate it into kind of our solution when things are like, it's easier not to run the dishwasher after the fellowship meal than it is to use the real dishes. And so it's sort of like, how do we break through some of those kind of natural barriers and the tendency of the congregation to be more sustainable over the long haul? I'm also curious if anybody here is aware or knows of, I have not done enough reading on this subject, but I know that in one of the Obama era infrastructure bills, there was some federal funding that became available through state funding to do energy reduction for nonprofits. And when I was serving at Broadway Christian Church, we were able to get some grant money for the use of LED bulbs. And so essentially, like, as a congregation, we had to install the fixtures, but then the bulbs were essentially provided by this state funding that came through the federal grant. And I was curious if anybody knows or is aware of or has done the research to find out if there's anything in all of the climate reduction work in the infrastructure bill that Biden just passed, if that has any funding available or those kind of things. I've not had the time or space to really do that research myself, but I was curious if anybody here knew of that work.
I would encourage you to reach out to Carol Devine, who runs the Green Chalice program.
Yeah.
She mentioned that churches are now able to get a rebate on going to solar energy, which surprised me because, as you saw in my picture, we have solar panels here on our farm, and we got a rebate for that. Now, churches don't need a rebate because they don't pay taxes, but they get some kind of a benefit or a payback for going to solar. But Carol Devine's the person to go to with all those kind of questions. They're up on all of that. Thank you, Nick, and welcome.
Yeah.
Susan Morris. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Susan Morris. I'm from Community Christian Church in Jefferson City. We have been a Green Chalice church for a number of years, but it has kind of gone dormant. And so we are in the plans of making it more vibrant in our church again. To add a small amount to what Roger and Janet Bergman outlined that our church is doing, we were the church that had a total upgrade because of the tornado. So our efficiency in the building is good, but there are still ways that we can improve. We do recycle our bulletins each week, and we are transitioning, as I believe Janet said, from disposables in the kitchen to washable dishes. So we've gone that far. We at one time had been cognizant of what we planted around the in the landscape to target native plants. So we have made steps, but we are wanting to get more active. So this is a way for us to hear other ideas, and hopefully we can institute some of those in the next year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Susan. Cindy Wiltshire. Welcome, Cindy.
Hi, everybody. We are not a Green Chalice church at Lake Ozark Christian Church. We do have dishes that were purchased sometime in the 50s that they're really pretty. They have our name on them. It says Lake Ozark Christian Church. And for years, and they have gold. They're in gold. I mean, the gold trim. And so for years, nobody wanted to use them because they couldn't put them in the dishwasher. Well, I said, well, who are we saving them for? So now we put them in the dishwasher, and we have it's a commercial dishwasher, an under the counter one that's no bigger than your regular dishwasher, but it takes 2 minutes to do a load of dishes, and it's just wonderful. So we're using that. We do recycle paper after services. There are other things. I mean, there are people in the church, there are at least 2 of us that recycle all the cardboard we can get our hands on. And so people in the church know that, and they save the boxes, and we go in and knock them down and take them home, recycle them from home. So I'm just interested in hearing what everybody else is doing, but I also would like to remind everybody that on April the 29th, starting at 10 a.m. till 3 p.m., the Disciples Women's Ministries, or CWF, whatever you call your group, DWF, are meeting April 29th at Lake Ozark Christian Church, and this is the whole area. This is Mid-America women. So please come to that, and maybe you can look at what we're doing and see what we can do better. I know there are a lot of things we can do better, but it's hard to, as you all know, it's hard to get people to stop just throwing things in the trash, because kind of that's how they grew up. One's from the city anyway. So thank you. And I'm glad that we're having this today. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Catherine Kinnaman, welcome.
Thanks, Ron. And I'm also really enjoying Return to Reference. And so thank you for this. You know, it was interesting. I'm a member of Compton Heights Christian Church in St. Louis City. And we live like a Green Chalice church, but I couldn't find any evidence, on our website that we are a Green Chalice church. So I may be missing the boat on that, but we certainly recycle everything and do not use styrofoam. Although I'm wondering, we have a Friday morning coffee on the street thing, with cars, and cars stop and people hand out a cup of coffee. So that may be in styrofoam, I would imagine. Otherwise, we use regular coffee cups and recyclable paper plates if we're having an event or a coffee fellowship. We've just started again after COVID. Compton Heights is an O&A church and global ministries. We do equal exchange and fair trade. And then we have a food and clothing bank, Isaiah 58. And like I say, we recycle, of course, paper, but tin cans, I think now that's started up again. We used to recycle batteries. I haven't figured out if we're still doing that or not. I've got to figure that out. But like many of you, I grew up in a family that grew so much food, and we were in a little suburb and raised chickens until the neighbors complained and the sheriff showed up with, we had 3 roosters, and that was a very early morning greeting that our neighbors just were not quite prepared for. But so this is very important to me, and I appreciate the kinds of suggestions. I've been taking notes here, and we'll be in touch, for one thing, with Olivet in terms of seed and sprouts, because we have a lot of gardeners in our small congregation. So thanks very much. I'm going to be sharing this with our congregation, and we are also have gotten rid of, we're on LEDs, and like many of you in a big, huge, monstrous white elephant congregation, that's hard to keep energy down, but everything is turned down during the week, and then it started up Saturday nights during the winter so that it's warmer on Sunday. So we do as much as we can with a very few folks. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. Sarah Clausen. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Ron and everybody. Sarah Clausen. I'm the pastor at Rockbridge Christian Church in Columbia, and a lot of resonance with some of the things, lots of ideas. Our church became officially a Green Chalice congregation about 5 years ago or so, but like someone else said, had been doing many of the things. It was more a matter of formalizing. We don't even have a dishwasher. We wash dishes by hand every Sunday. We're a small church, so doable, and share that across people willing to labor in that way. So a couple of things that I'll name that maybe haven't been shared yet. So we have a few people who bike to church. We have the benefit of infrastructure in our city that supports that, and then some people who live close enough for that. So we have a bike rack outside, and I'm one of those bikers. Appreciate it a lot. We also have a newer building, relatively newer, about 2006, and the architecture of the building has some creation components in the design. There's a river. You walk into a river as you come, and then you follow it as it curves around into the sanctuary. So there's some beauty that we get to experience, and also have a lot of natural lighting in our narthex, our welcoming space, and then in our sanctuary. So we have a lot of plants in our fellowship and worship space that we commune with, that we worship with every Sunday. I enjoy calling attention to that from time to time. And then, as others have said, creation is a regular theme in worship. We often take a whole season, the Easter season, often have a creation theme there, and have shaped that in various ways. And it's also a favorite topic of mine. So our people are getting more and more acquainted with original blessing, Sally McFaig's metaphorical theology, the body of God. So just kind of bringing that into the theological imagination is something that I do and we do regularly.
Wonderful. Thank you for your leadership there, Sarah. John Bennett. Welcome, John. Glad you're here with us. Please share. You take yourself off mute, John. Can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron. And I didn't register till last night, so I haven't read your book, but I'm certainly, after Patricia's endorsement of it, I definitely will. And we're a new Green Chalice congregation at First Christian in Jefferson City. And our co-chair of that group, Georgia Griffin, is also with us, and I'm going to defer to her after a brief comment. One of my contributions to our group thus far is developing a brief biblical theological foundation for our work, and I'll be glad to forward that to you and to share with others. Georgia actually is responsible, largely responsible for our existence, because she took the initiative to contact Green Chalice, and so we've taken it from there, and Georgia has given us great leadership, and I'll have her share what we've done thus far, and I'll augment if I need to anything that after she's through. So
thank you, John. Welcome, Georgia. Please share with us.
Thank you. Yeah, we are getting a late start compared to a lot of you. We in fact, as we talked around the church, we hadn't even heard of Green Chalice until last summer when we were interviewing for our replacement for our senior minister, and it happened to be on a number of the resumes. So that's what acquainted me with the concept. And when I started looking into it, and of course, as all of you probably know, you ask about something and suddenly you're the volunteer who's going to make it happen. But I was happy to do it. It's been the environment's been a focus of mine throughout my career and school, et cetera. But rather than tell you more about the sorts of things we're doing that really mirror a lot of what all of you have done, I want to talk about our strategy, which I think is important to how we hope we're going to succeed. We got approval from our board last fall to become the first level of Green Chalice congregation. We didn't want to run before we could walk, and we knew we were in a pretty diverse congregation politically from an age perspective, and we didn't expect we would have a bunch of people automatically jumping on. So we wanted to kind of wade into things. And we did become a Green Chalice recognized congregation in January, and approval from our board to now head for the certification as a Green Chalice community or Green Chalice church, which we are in the process of doing now. But one of the things that we decided early on was we were going to have a very diverse committee from an age perspective, politically, and it's been good for us because I think we reflect our congregation. And one of the things we also decided was that we would gently go into the formal process, kind of behind the scenes before we really started talking a lot about it. And we happened to have our co-chair, who was president or was chairman of the property committee, who had already started doing a whole lot of work. And he coincidentally had put together a list of the projects that he had been starting, which included an energy audit, which I would encourage everyone to do. And as he was putting projects together, he was not only looking at how they would affect the environment, but what the financial impact would be, because those would resonate with different parts of our congregation. So that's kind of what our background is as we're starting to approach people. The other thing we decided was that that we weren't, wasn't important for us to do a lot of work. We were involved in this. We knew we were going to be doing and supportive, but we decided that each of our committee members, and we have 12, would be a liaison with one of our standing committees and would make inroads into that standing committee, tell them what we're doing, get their feedback, figure out what they're responsible for that they might be able to make a difference with. And I would also encourage you to go to the Green Chalice website. It has a whole bunch of different ideas, and they are focused on different areas like worship, Christian formation, etc. And so it's a good way to get involved with various committees in your church that already are doing work, and this might get them to just think a little differently about what they're doing.
Thank you.
And the last thing I would say, and I want to compliment Roger Bergman. I happened to go to the ecumenical community event last fall where you spoke, Roger, and it was a wonderful presentation. What he does with MIT was just fascinating. So I brought that back to our committee as we were getting started. I haven't told Roger this, but we really want to find a way to use his expertise in letting people know what the difference is, what the actual climate difference is, and how you can figure out where you're going to get the best impact. And the other thing I would say is that we're hoping those of us who will be attending this meeting tonight of the next meeting of this ecumenical environmental group, we're hoping that we can find a way to become a resource for our community, for people, speakers like Roger, who can bring this kind of information to our community as a whole and sponsor it by the churches who are involved in these efforts. And we know it's more than just Community Christian and First Christian in Jeff City, but we haven't heard a whole lot about it yet. So
thank you.
Those are the main points of what we're doing from a process perspective.
Awesome. Thank you for your leadership with that. Terry Oberfeld. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Sorry to be late. It's Bulletin Day and it's Holy Week coming up. So
yeah, crazy.
We are in the process of being certified with Green Chalice. We've already submitted all of our efforts, and a few of them echo the ones that you are doing. I love that we have a community garden. We are now, washing dishes and making sure that the disposable ones are eco-friendly. We're just today talking about beginning to bake our bread so that we don't have to purchase packaged communion. But unfortunately, we're still in the tiny cup stack. And I didn't know if anybody had any ideas about how to, with COVID caution, relinquish that kind of effort to keep everyone germ-free. We replaced our drinking fountain with one that can refill a water bottle. We replaced many of our LED lights through our fellowship hall, our gymnasium, our hallways, office, and a few classrooms. And we did that and received a city rebate because we had consulted the city manager prior to that to see how to keep that in step with their encouragement and therefore rewards. So those are a few of the things that we're doing. We probably need to expand our bike rack. It's kind of small.
Thank you, Terry. Cindy Bates. Welcome, Cindy. Cindy on here? No? Okay. Ann McDonough.
Thank you, Ron.
Oh, you are? Okay.
It's a pleasure to be here. I just had to unmute me.
Okay.
Eileen did a really wonderful job deciding for the Camden Community Christian Church. I'd just like to add that we also have the opportunity each month in our newsletter to publish local and regional ideas about recycling, reusing, and reducing. And we created wonderful totes that are made out of a cloth that's been recycled to be a tote bag. So we've reduced the use of plastic in the church a great deal, especially for our weekly feeding program that we have for the community. Also, our community uses our building 7 days a week. And so they're also allowed to use our recycling bin. In our certification process, we are right now trying to get our energy audit. Now we're finding that's about $5,000. If anybody has any ideas about how we might be able to get that a little cheaper, that would be great for our creation care team. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you so much. And I think finally, Ann McDonald from Abbey Road. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for doing this, by the way. And I just got into this morning, so I don't know how prepared I am, but I'm Ann McDonough with Abbey Road Christian Church. We've been working with recycling for quite some time. We are not officially a Green Challenge certified church, but we have done a lot of the things to work towards that. We've been changing out the light bulbs. We have been recycling for a very long time, including all the paper bulletins, which we do still have, but we do have electronic newsletter for most people. We still have people who don't have computers, so they get mailed ones. Excuse me. We, and someone mentioned their dishwasher. We do have a new dishwasher, which only takes 2 minutes. So I'm assuming that does give you a better, less energy used. We have compostable drinking glasses, but we do use glass coffee cups. And let's see. We do have a labyrinth where we do plantings that are Missouri plantings and that encourage butterflies and we also have plantings in other areas, and we've tried to plant more trees. And let's see. We had been using fair trade coffee, but unfortunately our people that we got that from are gone. I'm not sure exactly what we're doing now. I don't have knowledge of that. We do try to reuse containers that people donate when we have food to take home. And see, I think that's about all I can think of offhand.
Wonderful.
I've really appreciated everybody's stories, by the way. It's been very nice to hear all this and encouraging.
Yes, I'm really kind of overwhelmed with how much you all had to share. It's taken the whole hour just for us to share. So I'm not going to do the PowerPoint, obviously, but I just want to mention, if you can go to disciples.org and then just search Green Chalice. That's where you can find all of the resources, all the information, the contact information for Carol Devine and Scott. They co-lead that. Amazing resources that are available there. And for those of you like Doug's congregation that's maybe just starting out on this, there's a 3.5-minute video called Butterfly Effect that is really well done. It's a short little video that can inspire. It seems to me, if I was a congregational pastor, like Nick in your situation, the crowd that is under 40 years old, this is a high priority for them, I found. And I would be tempted to go out in the community and locate those people who aren't in your church, but ask them to come and help you create this Earth Stewardship team. It can be a way to get some new people in, and you can tap into some energy and potential that's already out there. People care about this issue. So I want to spend the last 5 minutes just allowing you to share whatever from my book that you found helpful. As I say in there, I believe the faith community should be leading the way in this. And I studied this back in seminary in 1995. It was a high passion of mine then. And the one thing I want to lift up before you share is the three ways I understand how we affect change in the world. And as I laid out there, it's advocate, educate, and create an alternative model. And so I'm coming at this from all three of those legs, but I realize not everyone can do that. So you find your niche and your place, your angle to come at this issue to make a difference, either through education, and that came out a lot in what you're doing. I love, some central church in Columbia have Roger Bergman come and speak on that. And let's invite the whole region to come to that. He's an MIT climate ambassador, for God's sake, and he's right here among us. So let's tap into one another's resources and ideas and join together. We can make a huge difference in Mid-America if we do that. What are your closing thoughts on anything that I shared in the book, or any ideas I would encourage you to reach out to me through email and share any suggestions to make it better, because I truly do want to make it as helpful as possible. And you're welcome to use this resource in any way you would like. You have full permission to do that. Any comments in our last 5 minutes about the book that you found helpful?
I like your comments on the idea of dominion not being control and exploitation, but being inclusive and helping, mend whether society in many ways. I think the use of that word as dominion as exploitation is kind of the root of a lot of our difficulties. So I found that very helpful and wondered if you could also include a list of your resources. You quoted various people and mentioned books and so forth. I'd like to read some of those and would like to have those. And we, like I mentioned before, we've been doing a lot of educational stuff and hands-on things. We're less probably active in the world of advocacy. So directly, individuals do different things. So if people have more suggestions on how to do that, and I'm thinking one thing we could do, like you mentioned, is get connected with Roger and see if we could have a presentation. I'm going to try to get to Jeff City and lend an ear later in April. So
thank you, Marilyn.
Ron, I just want to affirm your writing and how you have a way of communicating that is really special. As I was reading through the book, I was so struck by the micro crucifixions that we are doing. That is a word that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And there are so many parts throughout this book where you have had you are the person we need to do this. So thank you for doing this. This is what we need for this time. And I think you have literally planted seeds for us to be inspired and to continue. So I just want to affirm what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Anyone else?
One of the things that I appreciate, Ron, is that we have questions for reflection. And that's really, for me, that's really important that we have those and the resources. So I'm grateful for that in terms of putting it out there for a congregation, for a Sunday morning or a Wednesday evening or whatever, that we have a structure that we can use. And I appreciate the suggestion, to use green chalice as well. But I'm grateful for the way that you've given us a way to think about things.
Thank you, Catherine. One more.
Ron, please convene us again.
It sounds like there's a real need and real desire to do this. Yes, so I'm happy. This is my sweet spot. If you've read my book, you understand. It's not just theory to me. And that's the beef I have with a lot of people that write about this stuff. It's theory, it's theoretical. I live this every day. I seek to be faithful in living this. So I'm so grateful that there's so much interest and so much passion that Mid-America can maybe lead the way in this effort. Thank you, Doug. We'll do this again for sure.
I agree. I think that practical nature of it is something that is often missing from the conversation, where it becomes, the intellectual assent to the theory, but most of, at least my experience in congregations in Mid-America, is the desire for praxis is high. And so the more we can share together little things, I mean, it's usually just the small ways of and it's even things like how to maintain the energy around the particular committees from, year to year and over the course of time. I mean, we don't all have Marilyns in our congregation who carry this ball for so many years. And that's that sort of piece of thinking together, or give Marilyn a break where she doesn't have to be the one driving the energy in a particular congregation for that long. And the way we can do that is by sharing together what we've found works in a practical day-to-day, year-to-year environment, especially in our region.
We're the show me state, right? I love.
I mean, that's the part where nobody in my congregation is going to argue with a single theological point here. All of our rebuttals are going to come from a praxis-oriented effort driving belief standpoint of, can we really do this and can it make a difference? And so the ways that we show together and share together that it does make a difference goes a long way to the practical motivations and enthusiasm that can be built around it.
Well said.
Ron, can we get John Bennett's, he mentioned that he's done a biblical theological foundation piece. Is there a way to shoot that to us if John is willing?
Sure.
Thank you, John. We'd love to have that. Thank you all for being here today. I realize we're at time. I will schedule another one of these gatherings in the near future, and we'll continue the conversation. In the meantime, feel free to email me or call me with questions, comments, suggestions, whatever's on your heart. May the Lord bless you and keep you as you enter into Holy Week. May God's face shine upon you, and may you truly love and enjoy the beauty and the wonder of God's creation. And all God's people said, Amen. Amen. Go in peace, friends.
Amen and shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.